Hey, welcome back to the Virgo Channel. My name is Laura, if you're new to the channel, and I'm going to do a general message for Virgo. Know that energy is fluid, roles can be reversed. Always interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also know on this channel, I like to go deep. So we look at everything, including the spiritual wounds, the shadows, and we see how they play out as karmic themes within your experience. So you have to keep that in mind if you want to enter into winning a free reading with me. You also have to like the video, subscribe to the channel, write the word of the video in your comment bar. You'll know if I chose you, if I wrote the word winner underneath. If I did, reach out to me through my email, which you'll find in the description box, along with all the other important information, my other YouTube channels, any important information. The word video will be in there if you ever forget it. Well, you'll reach out to me. And then the day of your live stream, I'll send you the link. But before then, obviously, we're going to figure out a day and time. We just don't want to do it on YouTube because it winds up getting lost for whatever reason. This way you get the link. There's no anxiety. A lot of people are like, oh, how am I going to find the link? It's funny how, people's like insecurities come out over like the smallest things. Like, oh my God, like I can't find it. We automatically go into survival mode, right? When we have a spiritual block, I might not be able to find it. And what is a spiritual block created from? The thoughts that you think and the emotions that you have. So at one point, if ever you've gone through an experience where, you're like, well, I'm waiting for something and I missed it, or I deleted it, or I lost it, or I couldn't get on. Well, that's why this situation would trigger you, which is why I'm telling you. You'll just have to reach out to me and I'll send you the link. So don't worry about it. All right, let's find out what the word in the video is going to be. The word of the video, again, is always the underlining energy that tells me why everyone's doing what they're doing. We want to know this because when we're dealing with shadows, people tend to come from their facade. They come from the mask that they're wearing. They want you to perceive that they're the mask that they're wearing. So a lot of times their intentions are more in alignment with the mask and not with their true self. And by understanding why a person does what they do, this helps us to obviously not take on that energy. A lot of times when you're dealing with a soulmate, twin flame, or again, karmic mate, and they treat you badly, we don't look and say, well, that's because they were wounded in their shadows. I mean, we might say that, but we still, for some reason, say, well, it's what they did to me. It made me feel a certain way. So we want to be able to transmute that energy, which is they did that to me, instead of this happened to me, to create awareness for me to actually, evolve. And we can do that if we understand what the spiritual lesson is. Every wound needs to be integrated. And when you integrate it, you see what the spiritual lesson is. Everything is all about evolving back into the highest state of consciousness, which is unconditional love, which is the energy of the universe. It's the energy that you and I are connected to right now. It's actually the energy of God. It's the energy of all consciousness, universal consciousness. And you have that power. It's the shadows that make us feel separate. It's the shadows that make us feel separate from unconditional love, which again is the energy of the universe. It's the highest energy. Unconditional love. There is no ownership or expectations. It just is. So we have to learn how to just go with the flow. A lot of times when things happen, we get stuck and say that shouldn't have happened. That's how we know that there's a block, there's resistance. So understand spiritual wounds, once integrated, expand consciousness to help you return back into the energy of unconditional love. However, if you don't heal them, you become a magnet for more of that same type of energy. And that energy will keep you in a place of disempowerment, keep you in a place of lack, keep you in a place of limitation, which inevitably keeps you in a place of fear, which makes you feel like you can't, when really it's that you can have whatever it is that you imagine it, you can have it. Doesn't mean that you can have that person though, because that person may not be as evolved, but you also could have that person a lot of times. And I'm just going to explain to you why. Because karmic relationships mean learn. So there's many different realities that play it at one time. Your level of consciousness determines what you do. So when we don't learn, again, we're a lot of times it's because we're undervaluing ourselves. We're not giving to ourselves. So all spiritual relationships, again, are teaching you how to get back into yourself. That's why when you attract someone, you're like, that person was an asshole. I'm not an asshole. Why did I attract an asshole? It's because you might be treating yourself like an asshole and not realizing it because you're like putting up with having someone in your life that undervalues you. That could be one reason. The word of the video is going to be disrespect. So, like I said, keeping a person in your life that treats you like an asshole would make you then become a magnet for more energy of the same. So I'm kind of feeling like, Virgo, you're the type of person that is like a healer. And you're like, well, I would want to help you. I would want to be there for you. But the truth of the matter is that this person, because I feel like I feel like you're connected to somebody that there is unconditional love for. There is a very strong spiritual connection for. You do love this person, but they're broken. They're wounded. And the one spiritual lesson I do believe that you had to learn that was a hard lesson was to love yourself first, and that you can't save a person. So one way that you can tell is, again, whether this person was ever sorry for disrespecting you, whether they ever humbled themselves to disrespect you. And the answer is no. So I feel as if you have a connection with somebody that obviously was talking to a lot of different people and they never gave you the real full time. I feel like you drew an attachment to them, an emotional attachment, because you're not the type of person to talk to 80 different people. And this person knew it. And I feel like they would come and go in and out of your life and not, let's say that you ever really gave them anything. You might have just given them the time that every time they showed up back into your life, you welcomed them with open arms. And so that was enough for this person to see that you were undervaluing yourself. Because why weren't you living? Why weren't, again, they were coming from their level of consciousness too, which is perceiving everyone to be the way that they are. So I feel as if they disrespected you by not giving you the time, by not giving you the energy. I feel like not just that, because you might say, I didn't really even want the time per se, but there were things that happened in your life that this person, that you shared with this person, and their emotional response to those things showed you the lack of respect that they had for you. And I feel like there was a smug way about them that they now that I feel like you've been in separation, you're seeing that they had this way where they just, again, had elevated themselves. So there's this energy like, well, you never came back and apologized. And I have seen everything that you've done. And this person, like I said, knows what they did. And I feel like they didn't care, but they care now. I feel like they care now, but it's almost like there's an energy of what can I do about it? So not only disrespect, but like apologize is what like is almost like the words of the day, is the words of the video, not the words of the day, the words of this video, because it's like it's like you just like whether you saw what you did or you didn't see what you did, once I told you what you did, you didn't fix it. Instead, you again acted like as if you didn't care. So this is the underlining energy. So I feel like you're in separation from someone that's acting like they don't care Okay, let's see what plays out and why I feel what I feel. Submissive. So again, like not letting you really be your own person, wanting you to be subservient to, like it was like a one-sided relationship. Like be around when I want you to be around. Don't have any complaints about how much I give you, because if you do, I'm gonna go ghost. Like the energy is like that. Like I'm gonna give you what I want, and then when you complain, I'm gonna downplay it. I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna shut you down. I'm not gonna want to hear it. All ways of like avoidant behavior, but avoidant behavior so you'll be submissive to them. So I feel like you're a highly sensitive person, Virgo. Like you're like, why is this person like it was confusing a little bit, because you're like, I feel like you have feelings for me, but then it's like you're gonna make me do that, and then you're also disrespecting me. So it's like, do you like me, or are you toying with me? Like now I feel like is that energy, where before it's like, I feel like you thought that they felt uncomfortable with themselves. I feel like you thought that this person was insecure, like again, attitude, because there is an element that you perceive that they're not a people person. They may be good in business, where again, talking to people, but as far as those intimate, real connections, I don't believe that this person has a lot of friends. I think that they keep their circle real close. They feel like the odd man out. Um, and in that, this is kind of why they act more superior. I feel like this person's really good in business. There's someone that is really good with math and numbers, really good with logic and analytical stuff, not comfortable at all with their emotions. And they come across because they don't feel good about themselves because of the lack of relationships, or lack of good relationships, at least. Um, like they try to put themselves like almost as if they're more superior, they're smarter, they want to come across like that, but it's really because they feel uncomfortable. And I think you being like them keeping you in a place of being submissive, it's like, well, you don't get too close, you don't really see them, you won't be able to really form a deep intimate connection to them, because again, there's a sense of, and I feel like when you did, they would, number one, get angry, but I feel like they are angry, and I feel like they're angry because there's a want and a need and a desire to connect well with people. And I feel as if you're someone that connects very well with people. So it's something that is actually really appealing to them, but I feel like they feel uncomfortable. And so because they feel uncomfortable, they act superior, which, and like that's the thing with the second chakra imbalance. See, your second chakra is that spiritual center that's all about your unique individuality. It's who you perceive you are when you look in the mirror. And this person doesn't like who they feel that they are, who they perceive that they are, due to their past experiences, their life, their family, all outside things, because they haven't created enough of themselves from the inside. So what they are doing is they're overcompensating. See, that's how we know that the person has a second chakra imbalance. You'll know when someone has a second chakra imbalance, because they overcompensate or they undercompensate, where you're like, okay, now you're breadcrumbing me. Like you're literally giving me nothing, and you're acting like a lot. But that person has a closed heart chakra, you see. The only way that we can really open our heart is to give and receive of love, right? And so, but you have to be real. You have to be real in order to do that. And this person feels like they were out of tune. So they're I'd rather be like somebody else. But in that, you don't manifest good things. You don't manifest in good things. And then your ego And I feel like this person's ego is looking around to put the blame on somebody because, hey, well, the life just still isn't really good. And here it is. It's like, I don't really believe that you were submissive. And so again, this would also trigger this person because if I elevate myself and now you're going to contradict me, that's that's gonna make me angry. And that's again, so this person is angry, like stayed angry at you for a long time. And it was really when because they disrespected you and you got annoyed that they disrespected you and you wanted them to apologize. And they, again, didn't want to really acknowledge that they did anything wrong. And so I feel like even as time went by, that they would have some weak moments, but it was all about the pride and ego, and let's trigger and see what your triggers were. But anyone would be annoyed, like this, the one-sided relationship of being submissive, like to them, feeds their ego, and a person that hasn't created themselves doesn't really look at their life from any higher perspective, meaning that there's a bigger reason to why we're here. We're not just here to go out and make money and have nice things and to but there's bigger things, and that's to actually be an expression of unconditional love and really experience those deep intimate connections. This person, like I said, is so on the surface, it feels like wants to keep it on the surface, but the thing is, I don't believe that you're a surface person. Apology. Like I said, it's like there was a point of you disrespected me. You disrespect me. You don't acknowledge anything that goes on in my life. It's like you breadcrumb me and you breadcrumb me in thinking that I would feel less than about myself. I don't feel less than about myself. Well, most people do that this person interacts with, because this wasn't the first rodeo that they rode on or was at. This is their regular norm way of getting what they get. There's a reason why their life doesn't work in this area. There's a reason why the universe, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, brings soulmates, people into our lives to make us look. And a lot of times people make us feel a certain way, but they shouldn't be able to make us feel anyway. But if they do, we have to say, why are we allowing that, number one? And if we don't allow it, what could happen? But and that's what I feel like in a way that you did, because you were like, well, this is just like shit energy that you're keeping me in. It's like they weren't giving you anything, but you felt suffocated almost. And the reason why is because on a spiritual level, they were suffocating you. They were suffocating you. If I give you no love, I give you no attention, what am I doing? I'm attacking your spirit. And that's how you know that the person's an angry person. That's how you know someone needs healing, not just the fact that they need to keep you in a place of submission. Forgotten. So again, ignored. Tell us something that I didn't say. Abuse. Well, it's again that same emotional abuse. I don't really believe that it was physical, but it was I want you today, don't want you tomorrow. It's like them trying to create a trauma bond, like an attachment. And that's what it is. When someone attacks your spirit and they ignore you, they take their love away from you. And then every now and again, they throw a breadcrumb at you. And they expect you to be, that's what they expect you to be like, it's like, of course it's abuse, because it's like, when, like, am I the rat? Like, you're trying to train me with the friggin' cheese and the bell? And it's like, you shove that piece of cheese where the moon don't shine. Don't, like, you're trying to degrade me in a way. Like, oh, the king or queen is here, like, hell, Queen Mary, like what? Like you're an emperor and I'm like a peasant, and I should be happy in your presence because that's what you need to, again, to for your ego to be satisfied. The ego gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger when there's healing, and that healing isn't done. Eventually we do go through a dark night of the soul, but there has to be like a want, a need, a desire to want to know why one's life is like that. And this person was not in that place of, I want to know why my life is this way. They're like, no, they're like, I can control my life to get what I want. The ego. That's why they'll say, I'm going to get what I want. I don't care what you want. But understand this, because I don't really believe I can have what I want. So we look deeper. An apology is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. You have to be vulnerable. You have to admit, and this person was like, I don't really want to do that because that'll make me not be superior. That, again, another sign of a second chakra imbalance. Trauma bond. If you weren't healed, this person mistaken you for somebody that wasn't healed. But we have to go deeper and say, well, what kind of relationship? What are they thinking down deep inside? What is going on? I'm tired of being away from you physically. I'm trying to process my fears so I can come back to you. So again, might say, well, isn't that even possible? I think that a lot of times people, like, even in trauma bond relationships, they're like, it's not a one and done. Soulmate, karmic mates, it's not a one and done, and not all the time because you're supposed to be with that person. It's because that person had a little bit of an awakening, a little bit of epiphany, and again, their ego is still running the show, thinking, I'm going to come back and I'm going to fix it and I'm going to be a different person, and almost like a superhero, but it's grounding. It's like, what does it? So it's like they're tired of being away from you because you took your power back, and that triggers abandonment issues. So that's also another thing that this person is would be tired of physically being away, because they form attachments. They only form unhealthy attachments, and that a lot of times happens because this person was not allowed to create themselves in childhood. It's that they took responsibility for the parents. The parent might have emotionally not be able to handle what was going on in their life, and they needed to be the rescuer. They needed to be the fixer. They needed to be the fixer of the family, the healer of the family, the one that saved the day, the one that, so they have to be seen as that person. So again, the ego's still running the show, but understand that it is a survival mechanism, emotional survival. Because it's like, which is what I feel like, it's like when you put your foot down, it's almost like, and walked away. So there's a sense that this person is like, they know what they know what they did. They know how they acted, but I feel like their pride got in the way. Our energy is stagnant, and triggers sometimes happen to break the stagnancy and help the energy flow again. Oh, well, now this explains it. See, I knew that there was something, I'm tired of being away from you. Well, I kind of feel like this person is like, you're not giving them anything. You're not giving them anything. You detach because you were like, I'm tired of the abuse. It's like, I'm going to be over here. Since you're not, it's again, you don't want to have a normal connection, even though a loving connection, you like crazy connection. That's what you want. You want a crazy connection. And I don't want that crazy connection. And because I'm not giving you anything, because since you can't give me what I need, well, you feel the need to come back into my life because the energy is stagnant, and so that you're going to try and trigger me, which means you're going to try and stir up my energy. You're going to try and disrupt my energy. This is what this person is like sitting there saying, well, you've been away from me for a little long time, and there's almost a sense that you're happy and that your life is peaceful and calm and that you're doing just fine without me. Well, I feel like I need to come into your life because this energy has been stagnant for a little too long, and, break that stagnancy up by, creating like an argument or saying something that's insulting, saying something hurtful, saying something that I know is going to trigger you, to knock you off your high horse, because I'm not comfortable when you're on your high horse. I'm actually a lot more happier when I have control over you. And again, submissive thing when you're submissive, because it's again, I'm an angry person. I'm an angry person, but mainly because I have feelings for you. And I know that might sound crazy, but it's like you're making them feel. It's like again, because this person is like, because they know how deep there's love there. They're like, it's again, it terrifies them. Love like ours can change the world if it was healed. If it was healed. So there's a very strong spiritual connection. There's a lot of passion, but this person refuses to heal, and they refuse to heal, and so everything triggers this person. So it's again, there's a fine line between love and hate. So it's like, if they would heal, it could be like a twin flame connection, but this is not a twin flame connection. This is a trauma bond connection that this person's trying to create, which a lot of times is really confusing because it can feel like it, but how you know that it's not is that the person wants to dominate you, and they want to dominate you so that you'll be submissive to what they want. So again, utilizing, which is an energy vampire, it's a drain. Is I'm going to use your energy to make me feel good about me, and for whatever I can utilize you for, and I'm not really going to do that much for you in return. And every now and again, I'll throw you a cracker, and you'll always want to get it back to that love bombing stage. But, love bombing stage never really ever returns again, or it happens less and less and less and less frequently until the connection is completely corroded. And it's like where, again, there's a fine line between love and hate. Well, that's the other end of it. So it's again, this person. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't feel like the love is real. They're like, wow, the love is real. It's like because they're obsessive, but it's triggering wounds. And because this person is not emotionally intelligent, and emotionally intelligent just means that you understand what you're feeling. This person, again, is feeling like shit all over the place. And I have to say, it started to do the reading beforehand, but like I dropped the deck, so I had to start over. And the word that came out was disequilibrium, which is, and I felt like the person was like crazy, literally, like they were all over the place, mentally crazy. And now I'm understanding why, because it's like, oh, they disrespected you like, I never got an apology, so I'm gonna like head out over here. They're like, okay, now you completely disconnected. I didn't see that, I actually thought you were going to be submissive to me. And since you're not, I'm going to come into your life now because you're really peaceful, you're happy, and your life is not affected. And I'm actually still thinking about you. And it's almost like that was not supposed to play out that way. So I'm going to go back into your life because I'm pretty sure that you still have a connection to me because I never have a connection to anybody. So it's shocking that I even have a connection to you. But that's because there's a spiritual connection, which again, this person doesn't understand because they are not that evolved. So they're like, well, let me come back into your life and create some sort of turmoil so that I can create some sort of drama, which maybe again, you might confuse for some passion, but, or again, or just worst case scenario, just disrupt your life. Best case scenario, will wind up in the bedroom. There'll be passion. So it's again, this person is like really the way that they think is imbalanced, and it's like they need to heal. There's like they're crazy. I miss you. It's again, let's both stop running away. So I feel like again, this person is a little delusional. I'm not gonna lie. They feel like because they miss you and there was this connection, they're like, I feel like you still have this connection to me. They don't want to look and see how they treated you. They want to like you forget that part. And then, but then they're like, but you must feel the same way that I feel because again, their ego is still like trying to be elevated. And so you must be running away. You're running away because you're like, okay, you scare me because you're like all over the place. You're emotionally all over the place. And I might have never noticed that because you don't show your emotions. So I thought that if anything, you were emotionally detached, but you can't really stay emotionally detached forever and continue to create the same life experiences in your life. So now you're just in a place of anger. I come into your life where you actually have feelings for, and your way of loving me is all about controlling me, making me be submissive because it's all about you. It's all about the feelings that you have, but you never really take any of the feelings that I have into play from the beginning of the connection, from when you disrespected me until now. And this is where you are, Virgo. You're like, until now, you're not like looking at my needs, whether I really miss you or not. You're assuming I miss you. And I might still have a spiritual connection to you, but it's like I didn't forget what you've done, and that damaged the connection. This person again with trauma bonds, which is what this person is used to being in, because they don't know they don't have the basic skills to be in a regular relationship. It's this is like I said, all that they know, that that they build these attachments because it's a sense of security for them, but it's all about them. They never evolve, they never learn, they never heal. So when the relationship ends, it's usually because this person leaves, meets somebody else. But understand there's always like karmic repercussion. It's not as if their relationship has ever been. I just feel like they're normally the person that has the upper hand because their avoidant style attracts needy people normally. So again, you might have met this person when you were not, in the most secure place in your life. So again, wasn't mainly because you were high vibing, because that's why this person perceived what they perceived. And that could be there was a death in my family, or it could have been, it was in between jobs, it could have been anything. Remember, this person didn't take the time to get to know you, so that it's all, I have a spiritual connection to you. And that this person associates with sexual, a physical connection of that, a desire, but without the unconditional love, which takes time. Relationships take time, and and you have to be vulnerable in order to create real intimacy, which is trust. this is a trauma bond where it started without trust. It's like, that's how you know it's draining. So, but it doesn't mean that this person doesn't have feelings in a distorted way. They do, but they're delusional because they don't look and see like that they really did anything wrong. They don't know it, like what they did wrong, except for, oh, you just want an apology, but they don't understand the depth of what they did, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm just going to pull two more to see if we get any deeper information. I'm going to just pull because the deck is like gigantic. Yeah, like this person, like I said, is like in poor health. Like they're not doing well. Like I feel like they're emotionally and psychologically like all over the place. Almost like they might be drinking a lot, they may be smoking a lot, but there's a sense of like again, the underlying condition is that, but what when you see them, like they're going to be all over the place because, like I said, they want to come into your life and almost disturb your life. And it's again to either create the best case scenario, which is, hey, we wind up in the bedroom and everything's forgotten about, which again, trauma bonds, that's normally they're on, they're off, they're on, they're off, whatever, never any change behavior. Or, I'll just disrupt your life, where it's then you'll still be thinking about me, but it's like, but you'll be aggravated and you won't be happy. And that will make me happy because I'm not happy, you know. And at this time, the situation is, so this person doesn't know, is again uncertain of what they're going to do. They're uncertain of what they're going to do because it depends on how you act. And so again, this is how we know it's a trauma bond. So you have to say, why did you attract this person into your life? Because you'd be like, I am not an asshole, and this person displayed asshole tendencies. It's like, well, it's again, we have to see, why did you attract this person into your life? Because it doesn't mean that you're like that. There are always spiritual lessons. Why, spirit brings us people into our life. It's to teach us stuff about ourselves. Belittled. These are, remember, the inner child wounds. So this is, again, and that could be that you were bullied. Again, submissive, see that? And there was a sense of, so if you were brought up by a really difficult parent, like a parent that just wouldn't give you say, wanted to control you, wanted to dominate you, and then you wind up drawing attention, like attracting people that are really jealous in your life. And there are those are people that are really imbalanced. So again, belittled, but that's the energy, So there would also be a sense of maybe confidence wasn't where it should be. Shame, made to feel bad, made to feel bad about yourself. I mean, these are real root chakra wounds. I'm not gonna lie. Like shame is like when you're taught that you're bad, when you're taught that you're not lovable. It's again, and you're belittled. You're made to feel like you're not worthy. That someone made you feel that way, and that's sometimes shame just happens from, well, I, did certain things that I'm ashamed of, and then people, had their opinions about it, where they, belittled me. But that would explain why you would get yourself in a trauma bond. And joy, I feel like a lack of joy, you know. I also feel like you're someone that is a highly sensitive person because you did grow up that way. And so, um, even though you didn't experience like joys going out with friends and experiencing different opportunities, because I feel like again that parent or the place that you grew up in kind of like was strict, was made you feel like again that you had to be submissive to the environment that where you were dominated. And again, a lot of times we can confuse that for love, because what happens is if you were brought up by somebody that was very like, holding your energy down, very like dominant, to the point that you couldn't go out and create yourself, you're not going to feel very strong within yourself. So you would attract a person that, again, feels like they can come in and like be that savior. And whether that's a man that comes in and pretends to be really strong, or a woman that comes in to be very strong, like I'll take care of you, I'll rescue you, or whether it's I'll come in and I'll logically and analytically and emotionally take care of you. I'll be your words because you don't feel confident in communicating. I will be your fixer. I will be your healer. So again, like I said, you wouldn't have experienced joy, real joy. There would be a lack because you don't know who you are, especially if someone's making you feel belittled and you had shame, robbed you of your joy. Now, I feel like you had personal joys, like small things happened in your life, but not to the extent that children are supposed to be, have not a care in the world. They should be free. They should be free to create themselves the way that they want to create themselves. That is a natural unfoldment process without being felt to be submissive to the way a parent wants them to think, how a parent wants them to grow, how a person wants to, even though parents have usually the best intention, what happens when a parent is too that way dominant, it creates a second chakra imbalance in the child that they're doing that to, because that child doesn't know who they are, because they don't find who they are. They're being told who they are. And so it winds up being that they then go out and search to find somebody that actually is going to appear strong, but really isn't strong, that's going to need to form an attachment in order to feel strong, and then keeps you in that same energy of being submissive, where you're not able to be the full expression of yourself, is what spirit says. So that's why it shows that you broke the karmic, test, because you were like, no, you're not going to rob me of my joy. You're not going to rob me of my joy. But we have to say again, when we're connected to someone like this, and it's a, soulmate or like a trauma bond, they were still a soulmate on some level. It's like, and sometimes there's still a little bit of ache because we're not going to be with that person because we had expectation of what we wanted that person to be. And we had kind of put it on them because that's a human thing, even though we're not supposed to do it. We do it. Is there any advice, Spirit, that you could give us? And Spirit says, learning to love myself, meaning yourself. Of course it would, because again, trauma bond means that there's parts of ourselves that we don't love. So of course, a spirit would say that. I choose to see the beauty in me. My wealth lies in my nature and potential. I transform my weaknesses into strength. I realize that I am a being of light and I allow myself to shine. This person would never let you shine. And that's what Spirit's saying. If you would have stayed in that situation, you wouldn't love yourself. And being that you attracted that person to you, Spirit says you don't love yourself enough because you haven't experienced enough of this. It's like, and it's, you have to be able to transmute this energy. And it means that there's not enough of you. You didn't create enough of you because someone didn't allow you to. They took your energy from you. And it could have been done for the right reasons, again, we don't judge why a person does it. The God only looks at the intention. However, we tend to look at it and then put judgment on it. So Spirit says, always come from a place of unconditional love, even if you were, you know, raised in a tough environment. Understand that the people raise and teach their kids from their level of consciousness. And really, no one is born to hate. We're taught to hate. We're taught to be angry. We're taught because, again, we live in environments, but if we don't heal, we just pass that on to future generations. And that's really, trauma bonds are a lot of times created because we grew up in an environment where our parents were trauma bonded, again, very codependent connections. But codependency is created because people feel flawed. Two people feel flawed, and they're trying to become whole as one, and that's just not possible. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave it there. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.